Yo, what is good, Celtics Nation? Welcome back to the podcast, and we have a special video for you guys today. Me and Ricky are going to talk everything Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, the first game in TD Garden, man, and this was a great game, Ricky. Not only was Derek White the star of the show, but someone who we called upon, Jaylen Brown, took over the fourth quarter and was a major staple of why we won this game. Now, in this video, we're primarily going to break down what we saw, what we need to improve, but more importantly, why the Celtics team is on a nice little roll to start the season, but still have a lot of work to do to get better. Now, Ricky, first question for you is, who is the one player that impressed you the most in this game? We know that a lot of people look good, but who impressed you the most? Because for me, it was Jaylen in that fourth quarter. But what do you think?
I mean, it's Derek White, man. The answer is always Derek fucking White.
Mm-hmm.
I love this dude so much. I love this dude's game. I love his attitude. I love his, junkyard dog mentality. I love his ball handling. We talked about in the offseason, who's going to be the primary handler. And don't get me wrong, Drew Holiday is that guy. But when Drew Holiday's on the bench, Derek White fills that role and then some. The defense, the chase down block, the three again and again and again, making clutch shots, driving to the basket. The answer is Derek White. He led everybody in the category with points. Jaylen Brown had a fantastic night with 27. If I could give an honorable mention, though, I want to give an honorable mention to O'Shea Brissett,
Oh, I
who
like that.
did not score a lot of points, but was a +7,
Mm-hmm.
and in the first half was a +11, and at one point was the only Celtic in positive plus minus throughout the course of the first quarter of that game. He immediately came into that game and started making an impact and started helping them turn the game over in the second
Offensive
quarter.
rebounding.
And although he didn't flash, there was things he was doing on the court to disrupt them, and he was
Mm-hmm.
providing some sort of stability on defense. He was helping guys settle in, and hey, I liked what I saw from the kid. Coming into this, we're talking about an 8 or 9 person rotation and who's going to be in that spot. And I like O'Shea, man. I like what I saw from O'Shea tonight. And obviously, statistically, didn't impress me, but I saw a lot of good things on the court from him. So I just want to make that notice because Derek White was my MVP of the game. Jaylen Brown was the MVP of the fourth, but
Mm-hmm.
O'Shea Brissett,
He
we're
made
talking
some
about
big
guys needing to
plays.
step up and make a play. He made a play or two.
Yeah, he made some big offensive rebounds. But guys, in the comment section down below, give a letter grade to O'Shea Brissett. Like we said, he didn't do anything crazy, but he came in 14 minutes of action, had 3 offensive rebounds, and a couple of them were massive. Now, one thing that I noticed in this game, no Luke Cornett. Now, it is to be expected. He don't really have a backup center besides Thomas Bryant, but he's not really like anything crazy. O'Shea Brissett got those Luke Cornett minutes, and I'm okay with that. O'Shea Brissett,
He's a bigger player, so I
yeah,
don't see what the
six
problem with
seven,
that
six
is.
eight,
Yeah.
lengthy, plays the
Yeah.
passing lanes well, can get offensive rebounds, can jump out the gym.
Doesn't even
O'Shea
have to
Brissett,
play the backcourt. You could literally put him as a wing, as a three, or shit. If you're running small, you can maybe stuff him in the power forward spot. I mean, in a positionless game, I think he works. He showed you a couple of things. He played some good defense against Bam, which we didn't have an answer for all night long,
yep.
and got him to travel and force the turnover on that good play that he made inside the paint. So yeah, I'm all for giving O'Shea Brissett a couple of minutes until he proves otherwise, because I think Luke Cornett is not the answer at that position. And,
Nah.
I'm not saying put O'Shea at the center, but in these smaller teams where they're not so deep at the 5 and the 4, which most of these teams we're going to play are, put Brissett in there and see what he can do.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out, though, was the bench, and this is going to be one of my negatives for this game, the bench still isn't scoring at an elite level. I mean, we had 8 bench points. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. Payton Pritchard at a 3, O'Shea Brissett at 2, Sam Hauser at a 3. But overall, they didn't produce scoring-wise, but the reason it's maybe okay for sometimes is because look at the starting lineup, Ricky. I mean, Tatum, 22. Porzingis, 17. Did foul out. Could have had 20. Drew Holiday, 17. Derek White, 28. Jaylen, 27. I mean, our offense, our starting 5 can do that on a consistent level. We don't need anyone to drop 35, 40, 50. We don't need that. If everyone drops 15 to 25 to 28 points, this team is going to win games. And we saw once again, Porzingis is so so effective in the pick and roll game. There was one where it was him and I believe Drew Holiday. The team actually crashed inside to try to stop Kristaps, leaving Derek White wide open in the corner. You can't do that. You
Nope.
cannot double team anybody on this team because we
Nope.
will make you pay. And that's why
Yep.
this team is so scary. Derek White, 5 of 7 from 3, 3 blocks. 3 blocks, Ricky. All defensive first team. There's no reason this man should not be up there again. Drew Holiday, dude, making plays, man. He had a block, 10 rebounds, 7 assists.
Yeah.
Dude, this team is impressive.
You pretty much highlighted all the positive things I wanted to add. My two negatives, I got to pick on your boy JB. I'm sorry. I know he had a good game, still had 4 turnovers, still made
Yep.
some very poor decisions with the basketball.
Yep.
And again, I expect that out of the 7th, 8th guy in the rotation. I can't expect that from my number 2. My number 2 has to be better than that. So
Yep.
although he did deliver in the 4th, he helped close out the game. I'm not, I'm giving JB a B plus A minus for this performance. I think he
Yep.
played great. But man, you can't have 4 turnovers, and it's just, and it's not even the 4 turnovers because everyone's entitled to a bad night. But you had too many turnovers game 1. You have too many turnovers game 2. I'm going to be tallying these, and I'm going to be looking at the midseason mark and see where this guy's at with turnovers in comparison to the rest of the league. And, I don't want to see him pile those things up because that stuff adds up. And then the other thing, man, is these goddamn free throws. Can we get in the gym and shoot free throws? We're at 68% from free throw. I tweeted at one point that we were at 65% from free throw. I mean, come on, man. This is a team that shoots.
68%. Ugh.
This is a team that at all positions can shoot the 3 ball. So you mean to tell me you guys can't make your free throws? Like, come on. I just don't understand this. You're leaving points. You're 13 and 19 from 3. You won the game, so it doesn't matter. But hey, if you lose that game, you're like, shit, I would have liked those 6 points to end the game. We could have had at least, can you put in at least 3 of them? You know what I mean? And then you're putting yourself in a better position. But, that's just me nitpicking. I mean, ultimately they won the game, but 68% from free throw isn't going to cut it against a team that would make you pay otherwise. I mean, let's call it for what it is. Miami's a good team. They didn't really make any great additions. They're not a great team. They're a great playoff team. They know what they need to do to get into the playoffs and then perform at a higher level.
Very well coached.
Spo's a great coach.
Yep.
And so, I know that they'll be there at the end. I know if they're not in the ECF, they're going to be in the round before, and hey, we might have to play them on the way, and that's going to be a tough series. Yeah. And to win that series, you're going to have to make your free throws 100%.
One thing I will say, Ricky, and I agree with you, Jaylen Brown has, I think, 6 turnovers in 2 games so far. I believe he had 2 fourth quarter last game. He had 4 this game. Some costly ones, definitely needs to fix that. But a positive thing about this game, Ricky, remember what we said about the Knicks game? And you guys will hear about that on tomorrow's podcast. Comes out tomorrow morning. But second and fourth quarters were terrible for Boston that game. You remember? This game, Have you seen? 35 points in the second quarter, 32 in the fourth quarter. A lot better in those 2 quarters. So that is a major improvement. Our defense was very consistent throughout the entirety of this game.
Aside from the third.
Aside from the third, correct.
Sloppy.
Very sloppy. And another thing I want to, say is a good thing, rebounding. Rebounding was very good today. 16 offensive rebounds. Out-rebounded them by 10. Not bad. I think there are areas to clean up. Free throw shooting, you said that. I think turning the ball over, 15 turnovers, no more turnovers. Jaylen is stemming from that. He's the one that's, doing that the most. So Jaylen, clean that up, make our free throws. And I think this is a really good team. I mean, throughout the first 2 games, Ricky, what would you give us as a grade? I mean, I know the first game was a little bit dicey with the blown lead, but I'm starting to see progression already.
I give it a B.
A B overall,
I'm giving them a B overall. I think this team could, and we got look at it like this. If I'm giving this team an A, we're in trouble because they can be so much better than this. So the fact of the matter is that I see the potential and I know that they can be better. I have to set it to the expectation that I know they can be, and they're not going to be A plus every night. But I haven't seen an A plus yet. They weren't A plus. I'll say this: they were a more consistent basketball team tonight than they were in game 1. And I think that's just simply because they played to the level of competition. And piggybacking off of your rebounds, halfway through the third, they had 18 second chance points halfway through the third. That's great. You love to see that in a team that was very concerned about rim protection and rebounding. I don't miss Rob Williams one bit right now. I think we have everything we need in that slate. I think everything defensively that Marcus Smart brought, I think Drew and Derek White are going to do for you. And I think that they have the gaps to fill. Now, whether you bring in an O'Shea or Cornette steps up or what have you, whatever the situation may be, I think that they'll ultimately figure that part out as far as the depth goes. But I will say this in regards to depth: Porzingis falls out, right? And who do you have coming in for him? Al Horford.
Yeah, Al Horford.
Is there any team in the league that has that sort of ability to have an Al Horford come in for them in crucial minutes because their starting five, their
It's a
starting
good
big
point.
man fouled out of the game? There's no other team in the league that can say they can do that. This is something that only we have. And
Maybe
yes,
the
I know
Bucks
Al,
though. Maybe the Bucks
and
with Bobby Portis.
M- maybe, and I know Al's old, and I know his better years are behind him, but he has so much experience.
Yep.
He has, he's been there, he's done that, he's played in these big games. He can shoot when it needs to be done. He's played good defensively so far in the series. My biggest concern, though, overall, is going to be what are we going to do about Bam? And what are we going to do about Giannis? That's
Yeah.
another conversation for another day. But we clearly have a major issue with guarding in the paint. And yes, Porzingis does a lot of good things, but he also was very jumpy. He got a little too handsy
Yeah.
with Bam, and Bam got him to jump at one point and got him to foul that way. I don't really like the sixth foul they gave on him. I think Jimmy kind of sold that one a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you get yourself in foul trouble. You're gonna get someone to sell you to foul you out of the game. So you got to be better than that
Yep.
through the first three quarters, so you're not putting yourself in foul trouble. And it could have just been jitters from the first home game. You could have been nervous. You could have just been a little antsy, and that very well could be true. But the fact of the matter is Bam torched us tonight. And
He did.
we didn't have a single answer for him. Every time we tried to adjust, he just do something else and he gets to the basket.
And Hero too, coming off screens wide open, playing drop zone
Yeah.
coverage again. I don't really get why we're still doing that, but it
I
is
can
what it
live. I
is.
can. I can live with that though because they did go 5 for 5 in the third quarter, and that kind of efficiency is just not sustainable. So once they
Yeah.
hit the fourth quarter, they kind of went back to reality, and that's when we really start to make our to build up on our lead. So
Yeah.
he did torch us, and he had a great game, but I feel like it's kind of a wash because Jimmy Butler had such a non-factor
Yeah.
in the game
It's
that I
true.
feel like it's kind of a wash there. So I'm okay with Tyler Hero going off if Jimmy Butler's quiet.
Yeah.
If they're not shooting, they shot it at a great efficiency from three. The Heat
Yeah.
shot 48%, and that's great. And if that's what they're shooting, then I feel good about it. You know what I mean? But at one point, like I said, they were 5 for 5 in the third quarter at three. I mean,
Yeah.
you hope eventually at some point they cool down, and they did. They cooled down right at the perfect time in the fourth quarter, so they could come back and make up on the missing points there.
Yeah, so you brought up the 48.5% from three. To
Mhm.
me, that's not good. You cannot allow that in the NBA, and that's incredibly high. And then we talk about last game. I was concerned about 44% from the Knicks. These are two teams who, quite frankly, weren't good at all from shooting the three ball last year at times, and we allowed pretty big percentage. Are you worried about that at all? It's a little bit concerning to me to start the season.
No. I mean, no, not in this immediate moment. And I'm not
Yeah,
very much concerned. I feel like they're always going to play to the level of their competition. Especially with the Knicks game, I feel like they didn't put their best foot forward, and maybe that was on purpose. Maybe that was by accident. Who knows? With the Heat, there was a little bit more fervor, but you got to know too that with the Heat, they have a lot more options to beat you in a lot of different ways. So it's very much I feel like for Boston, it's more just about like contain Jimmy, try to contain Bam, and then if you gotta let Hero cook, I guess you let Hero cook. I mean, you try to take away the two things they're best at and just say, okay, well, if you're gonna beat us, try to beat us with Tyler Hero, and obviously they couldn't do that tonight. So
yep,
credit to the Miami Heat. I think they're better than what a lot of people think they'll be, but I think ultimately,
absolutely.
um, they were overall a way better team than them, and I think this is a good outcome. If you're beating Miami by 7, 8, 10 points, I'm good with that.
Yeah. But overall, guys, I think it was a good game. I think we're starting off well. Still a ton of room to grow, don't get me wrong. And I think we will continue to get better as time goes on. We have a couple of easy games coming up. The Wizards, the Pacers, teams we should be able to beat. Hopefully we do. I will be live streaming those games. Make sure you check it out on my main channel, Matty Dubs. But comment down below, who is your MVP of this game here for Boston? And what do you expect going forward out of this team? Remember, the podcast drops tomorrow at 8 a.m. Check it out. We're going to be dropping every single week. Subscribe, hit the like button, join the family. Anything to say, Ricky, before we head out of here?
Yeah, I love seeing my dog The Truth out there tonight. That was
Yeah,
fire.
Paul Pierce. You see, Rondo has been at practice too.
I love that. I love
Love
seeing
that.
those
Yeah,
veteran guys. I want to see those guys over there all season long. showing these guys the way. This is what it
Yep.
takes to win a championship. And Pierce dapped up JB on the way out, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you got it. JB's got it, man. He knows he's got that game." So
Yeah.
it was cool to see Pierce in the building for the home opener, and it was just good to see basketball in the Garden again. That was
Yep.
I enjoyed seeing it.
Yep. Well, 2-0, Ricky. We go on to take, I believe, the Wizards on Monday. Let's make it 3-0. Let's take it one game at a time. I'm loving what we're doing.
Yeah, I like my 5-1 prediction going into next week.
It's looking pretty good. We need to
Yeah, I
beat
like that.
these next 2 games. Are
I like that.
back-to-back.
Six games in, 5-1. I think that's where we'll be.
Yep. All right, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast next Saturday. Peace. All right. Beautiful.